Barstow, California. Imagine if an entire town was one big sketchy ass truck stop. People Askreddit. What is the shittiest place you've visited? The Salton Sea made me sad. There was so much hope around this place. Now if you visit, it's a very poor town, the sand sucks your shoes off and smells awful, and the stench of dead fish permeates the air. Now their only bar presence as a David Lynch nightmare if you go. Reply? Salton Sea is amazing, it's the closest I've ever seen to a post-apocalyptic wasteland. And due to the fact that most of the rotting abandoned buildings are from the 1960s, it's eerily similar to a Fallout game. This documentary, link in description, can save you a trip there, but it doesn't quite capture the feeling of driving through a rotting ghost town in 115F heat, completely empty except for a couple of meth heads staring at you from under an awning. Reply. I've been kinda fascinated with this place since driving through when I was road tripping in college. Apparently it was created by accident. At one time it had thriving game fishery of landlocked saltwater fish, as well as all kinds of marine invertebrates and stuff that hitched a ride in people's bilge water and the bottom of boats, all in the middle of what used to be desert, far from the sea, all the salt having come from salt still left in the soil from ancient times mixed with freshwater from the Colorado River. All slowly dying as they let it dry up and return to desert. Hence the smell, as the tilapia, which are the most salt tolerant, die off. I'm going to check out that documentary. Thanks. Ever been into an office building where maintenance quit and the real estate company hasn't hired replacements in 6 months? Every broad office floor of cubicles looks like it's in a zombie movie. Half of the fluorescent tube lights are dead or flickering from a bad ballast. Some places the air is a bit too cold and dry, while in others it's too hot and humid. Enough to make you think there might be mold growing on the walls. It's like a massive fat bloated man was breathing his stinking breath on your neck. Oh, and the bathrooms. Oh, the bathrooms. I'm not even going to describe that. I'd rather not revisit the memory. The break room sinks weren't bad though. But then, people are more likely to take care of things they actually have to use. It's not as fire and forget as a men's room. Except for the one break room where I felt someone mixed up the two types of rooms and figured a drain is a drain. A corporation in the final stages of decline is a sad creature. Reply? I've always said that the most important person in any office building is the janitor. In any business large enough to employ full-time janitorial/maintenance people, they are what keeps the company from falling apart. I always treat them with more respect than I do my bosses and try to get on their good side. Reply. When I was a teenager, my dad, the head of a maintenance department for a business that owned a skyscraper in our city. He and 2 other maintenance men took care of light bulbs, decorating for holidays, and shoveling snow and salting sidewalks. The biggest thing they did all day though was adjust the air conditioning and heat for the 300 to 400 middle-aged female employees, most of whom were going through the change. Those ladies knew what a pain it was and would do things like buy the guys lunch a couple of times a week and bake them cookies or make them fudge. The coolest was that the company gave my dad and his maintenance men first dips on concert, musical, Disney on Ice and other kid shows and sports tickets that they didn't use for clients. Saw a lot of concerts and hockey games as a teen for free thanks to dad's job. Barstow, California. Imagine if an entire town was one big sketchy ass truck stop. Reply. But that's where the drugs began to take hold. No point in mentioning these bats. Poor bastard, we'll see them soon enough. I was right in the middle of a fucking reptile zoo, and someone was giving booze to these goddamn things. Reply. We had 2 bags of grass, 75 pellets of mescaline, 5 sheets of high-powered blotter acid, a salt shaker half full of cocaine, and a whole galaxy of multicolored uppers, downers, screamers, laughers. And also a quart of tequila, a quart of rum, a case of Budweiser, a pint of raw ether and 2 dozen amyls. Not that we needed all that for the trip, but once you get locked into a serious drug collection, the tendency is to push it as far as you can. Zinc, Arkansas. It felt like I stumbled into the movie set for House of Wax, Children of the Corn and Deliverance all in one place. They had a hair salon, mechanic, courthouse, jail all in one building. The judge's wife was the hairstylist, the judge was also the mechanic, and the sheriff was his son. Fuck that shit. Reply. Lived in Arkansas my whole life and never heard of zinc, must be really tiny. We do have snow, toads suck, And Booger Hollow, Arkansas too. Edit, others have pointed out some other good ones, Smackover, Bald Knob, Whiner, Flippin', Possum Grape, Blue Ball and Goobertown are some of the others. Yes, real communities/towns in Arkansas. Reply. Population around 100 per Google. Also, first thing that pops up is an article where the residents disclaim any association with the KKK and share their town's true history. Sounds like a terrifying place. Edit, realized all the references to the KKK is because some Klan member hails from Zinc. Edit, OMG there's more. Per Wikipedia, a chapter of the Ku Klux Klan operates a training and information center in Zinc. Reply. For me it is Hope, Arkansas. I was a kid and my family stayed the night at the Holiday Inn on our way to somewhere else. When we checked in they gave us a complimentary fly swatter. Answer. I had to stop overnight in Hope moving from Michigan to Texas. All I wanted was a beer after a miserable 14-hour drive in a U-Haul. Went to a Mexican restaurant and asked the server what was on draft. Dry County, he said. Is that like an IPA? I asked. He looked confused. I sure as fuck was confused until I figured out what the real meaning was. I had never heard of a dry county before and I was legit offended. Dukeman, Amman. 2 hotels, a Pizza Hut, and a DFC, Duke Fried Chicken. Also can't forget the hundreds of miles of new roads that led to more sand and dirt. Shit was built like the first 5 minutes of a SimCity 2000 game. Reply. Back in the day Dukeman had the only decent internet connection within a 500 kilometers radius, so at least had that going for it. Also an hour drive from Kaluf and Ras Madraka, some of the most gorgeous stretches of coast in the country. But yeah, the whole concept of Dukeman is as if an urban planner jotted down some notes on a napkin whilst high on crystal meth. I was helping friends move across the country and I called my husband one night when we stopped. He said, "Where have you gotten to?" And I said, "I don't know, but it's the ugliest place I've ever seen in my life." And he said, "Oh, you've gotten to Midland, Odessa," and he was correct. I have seen a lot of the world and Midland, Odessa, Texas, is by far the most terrible place I've ever looked at. Reply. I just popped in on Google Maps and I can confirm 2 things that struck me. 1. The parking lot to building ratio is way too high. Lots of asphalt. 2. I went to downtown Midland, and it looks like it was built by someone who had only seen pictures of cities. Like there are just a bunch of office buildings plopped down and no other businesses. Reply. I thought you were exaggerating about Midlands, but no. I don't think I saw a storefront anywhere. The whole place feels like a Source Engine game, almost like an outdoor version of the Stanley Parable. Gary, Indiana. Apologies to those who live there, but it's kinda like the armpit of America. It reeks of a town that was once a cool place to be but has just been left to the wayside. Edit, holy cow, didn't expect this many people to agree. Thank you very much for the awards. Who would have thought my very first awards would have come from an offhanded post about Gary? Reply. Came here to add Gary, Indiana. It's like New Jersey was concentrated, dipped in Detroit, and shat out the worst part of Chicago. I've got family in South Bend. The joke is depending on which direction the wind is blowing you can smell Gary in either South Bend or Chicago. Truly is a shithole. Thank you for listening to another B-Town Reddit Stories episode. Hit the subscribe button and check out our channel for more stories. Let us know your opinion about this topic in the comments.